morning, boys and girls, bass players, guitar players, all my friends around the globe. I want to thank everybody for the nice comments that I've gotten for the horn tutorials. Makes me feel great. Makes me feel that I'm not alone over here in Cyberland. Anyway, it's fun reading everybody's stuff, and I like to try to get back to everybody, and I hope you're enjoying the ebook. Anyway, there was one last thing that I forgot to include in the tutorials that's in the ebook. Is basically I just want to talk about chart layout. I know a lot of you are musicians and are pretty comfortable with this and know all about laying out your charts, but I know that there's probably maybe a few out there that aren't as familiar. So I just want to talk about how to lay out your chart for your players. I'm not going to talk about how to write rhythms and notes and things like that. I just want to give a brief idea of what somebody likes to see, what I like to see on a chart. And the first thing I like to cover is when you have your staves. I'm not going to write out all the staves, but let's say you have, here's your intro. Wow. Okay, let me try a different pen. It's not working. And let's say you have your intro here. I'm just going to write bar lines just because it's easier than writing a bunch of staves. So here's your intro. We have a treble clef or bass clef. It's a bass player. And let's say there's a pickup. So this is going to be a double bar because the tune starts here. But let's say we have a pickup of some sort. 3 and 4 and boom. So here's our intro. Okay, and let's say that repeats. So you have repeats there. Here's your. Typically, if I write a chord arrangement, I write my hash marks in. Okay, and the chord C, okay, to F. Jazzy. Anyway, so then we come down to letter A. Okay, this is typically where the melody starts. Let's say we have a singer. I always write vocal in, and I know that a lot of people don't do that, but I like to write vocal in so that the band knows when the singer starts, we're there. And typically that is letter A. These are rehearsal marks, and they're really important. So let's say here's vocal in, because sometimes you don't know, the singer might come in late, or there might be, the club might, have a power outage. Who knows? For what other reason, that tells you that the vocal's in. Okay? So then let's say this is the verse. Okay? And it's 8 bars. And every section I use a double bar because that kind of divides up the sections. So you want to put a double bar in between all your sections, whether it's 8 bars, 6 bars, 4 bars, whatever it is. Okay? And let's say we move on to the chorus. Okay? And your chorus is 8 bars. Okay? Double bar. Typically our next section, letter B, another rehearsal mark. Okay? So when you're in rehearsal, you tell your guys, okay, we're starting at letter B. Everybody knows. You don't have to go, well, you know where the song goes, la-di-da-di-da. Everybody knows it's letter B. Or let's say you have an issue that's 2 bars after letter B. Okay, it's in this bar. So those are really important to use those. So here's our next 8 bars, double bar. There's our verse and our chorus. Okay? So one thing I forgot, okay, is let's say we have a first and second ending at the end of the chorus. Okay? So here's our first ending. It's going to repeat. These are our repeats. I like to put these little things on there so you can really see. And it's going to go back to the verse again, okay? This is a pop tune as opposed to a jazz tune. So then this is going to be your first ending. And a lot of times you use first and second endings because the chord changes are different, because the changes here are going to get us back to here. The changes here in the second ending, okay, are going to get us to letter C, which let's say it's the bridge in our little pop tune. Okay, typical jazz tunes like jazz standards and stuff like that, they're set up a little differently. They're basically A and B form. pop music, we've got verse, chorus, bridge. Okay, so let's say the changes here are going to be different. So if there is no difference in the, let's say the chord progression here is goes back to C. Let's say it goes F, G, C. Okay, but let's say your bridge starts with on the 4 chord, typically, or just goes to 4. I'm sorry, not F7, but F major, because F is our new key. Then here you're going to go C and you're going to go C7. So that's 5 of 1, right? So that's why you have to have a second ending. If there was nothing different going into this, you don't need a first and second ending, but you use them a lot. This can be this. You could also go first, second. This can also be a third ending, or however you want it. Okay. So let's say we continued on to our bridge. Okay, and our bridge is 7 bars. Okay. I would rather see this and just squiggle out the last bar than see the next section start on the end here. I'll talk about that in a minute. So let's say this is our bridge, and let's say the bridge goes back to the verse again. After the bridge, we go back to a verse. Okay, so we're gonna what they call DS al coda. Okay, it means something in Italian. I'm sure some of you know. My brother knows. He knows all that stuff. Anyway, so DS al coda, and then so we're going to put our DS here, and the DS, just write an S, 2 lines, and 2 dots. That's how I write a DS. Okay, so you put the DS right here, or you can put it up here, just somewhere where they know. Okay, and then al coda, you're going to go right here. Let's say that after then you're going to sing another verse and a chorus, and then you're going to go to an ending. So you stick the coda. Is it going to be this for an ending, or is it however the chord progression goes? So let's say let's say this is our third ending, and we put the coda here. Wherever you put it, then it goes down to there. It's just a target. Okay, and this is our ending. Okay, let's say it's 4 bars. Okay. So that's our ending. So basically what we've done here is we've repeated our intro. Letter A, vocal in, 8 bars. Also you can write 8 bars here if you want. They used to make us number our bars, which when you get into big orchestra situations with a zillion people playing, you want to number all your bars so people can just go, what's my note in bar 87? So, and then letter B, first ending, back to the repeat, go. Take second ending, continue on to the bridge, take the DS, blang, to the coda, coda. Okay? It's simple as that. Now, your last bar, you're going to want to make a heavy. It's a double bar, but the second line is heavy, and you can write fine if you want, which I guess is finished in Italian. I got to work on my Italian. Anyway, so that's it. Now, there's the other thing to remember too. Is on this DS al coda, let's say you want to go back to the top. There's another one that we use called DC al coda, and DC means go to the top. So you don't need this sign here, okay? It's just, there is no sign. It's just DC the top, you go to the top, okay? Right to there. And then you would take your coda out. You don't have to have a coda, but it's handy. And I've seen situations where there's double codas. It can get really complicated. But for what most people are concerned with, this works dandy. One of the things that really bothers me a lot when I'm looking at other charts is, when you look at this, what we just did, it all makes sense. You can just kind of squint at it and you can say, okay, here it is. And if you lay a chart out nicely for your guys, they'll play it better. If it's neat, if it's not scribbly. Before I used Finale, I went and got an art pencil that had a really soft lead, so it was easy to erase, but it was dark. And I used a ruler, I used a straight edge. Here's one of my own charts for a song I wrote called Around for the Fall. And I use I just hold a straight edge and I try to keep it. This has been scribbled on by band members, but you can see it's relatively neat, and I think that's important. But what I don't like seeing is, okay, so let's say instead of ending your phrase here, he went like this. Okay, just because he had room on the paper, they wrote their 8 bars, and then they started the new section. Letter B would be right here, and then your first bar of your next section. Then you know, that's terrible. And I see that a lot, where there'll be like, you know, just a random amount of bars set up on a staff, and then the next section starts in the middle of the page somewhere, or the DS is in the middle of the page. You know, I would rather see, you know, let's say here's a 7-bar phrase, you know, and again, if you can get it all on one line, let's say it's just one chord for 8 bars, just write on one line, just go like this. You know, here's your G7 chord, and just repeat it. But it's all on one line, and your phrase ends at the end and starts here again, right? But if you start, what I don't like is, let's say the phrase starts here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the next phrase starts in the middle of the bar somewhere. Okay. Anyway, no egg timer today because I was just gonna take as long as it took. But I think that kind of is a good starting point. And if you have any questions, give me a call. Don't forget, shoot me an email, fred@fredstickleymusic.com, right here, and let me know any thoughts. Love hearing from everybody, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for stopping by.